My name is Iyabo, and I was once a successful hairdresser in Lagos, Nigeria. At least that is how everyone saw me. A woman who had risen from nothing to build a thriving business. But behind the cover up of success, there was a darkness that I could no longer hide. A darkness that ultimately consumed everything I held dear. It all started years ago when I was struggling with poverty. I was desperate, with no option left to provide for myself. That's when I heard about Baba Leke, a powerful witch doctor who was known for his dark magic. People said he could change your life if you were willing to pay the price. At the time, I didn't care what the price was. I was desperate and would do anything to escape the crushing weight of poverty. I sought out Baba Leke, and when I met him, he could see the desperation in my eyes. I told him I wanted wealth, success, and power, and he listened carefully before offering me a way out. He told me to open a hair salon, promising that it would bring me all the customers I could ever want. But there was more to it. Much more. He explained that the human hair carried the essence of its owner, and if I collected the hair from my customers and gave it to him, he could use it in a rituals that would grant me the wealth and success I craved. I was blinded by my ambition, by the thought of finally escaping the life of poverty, so I agreed. I opened my salon just as Baba Leke had promised. Business boomed. Women from all over Lagos came to me, drawn by my skill and the atmosphere of the salon. They would leave happy, never knowing that the hair I swept off the floor was being collected for something far more sinister. At first, it seemed harmless. What was a little hair after all? But then, the disappearance began. The first to go missing was Chika, a regular customer of mine. She came in for her usual trim, chatting away as always. But the next day, she was gone. Her family searched everywhere, but she had simply vanished without a trace. I remember the chill that ran down my spine when I heard the news, but I pushed the fear aside. I convinced myself it was just a coincidence, even as more women began to disappear. The salon became haunted, not by ghosts, but by the guilt that weighed heavily on me. Objects started moving on their own. Mirrors cracked without cause. An airing presence filled the air. Customers noticed too, and many stopped coming. The ones who stayed would comment on the strange chill, the feeling of being watched. I tried to ignore it, to focus on the money and the luxury that my success had brought me. But the truth was always there, lurking in the shadows. Baba Leke warned me that the spirits were growing restless, that the hair alone was no longer enough to satisfy them. He said they wanted more, a life to balance the scale. I was terrified, but I was also trapped. I couldn't walk away from the wealth and power that had become my life, but I also knew that the disappearances were connected to the rituals, to the hair I've been delivering to Baba Leke. The breaking point came when the spirit's wrath became unbearable. They haunted my dreams, tortured me with the visions of the women whose hair I had stolen, whose lives I had indirectly taken. I was consumed by guilt, driven to the brink of madness by the weight of what I had done. I tried to seek redemptions, visiting priests and pastors, hoping they could cleanse me of the darkness, but nothing worked. The spirits were too powerful, their anger too great. In a final act of desperation, I returned to Baba Leke and told him I wanted to end the rituals. I couldn't live with the guilt any longer, but he told me that breaking the path would come at a great cost. The spirit would demand a final sacrifice, my life. I was faced with an impossible decision: sacrifice myself to save the remaining women, or continue living in torment until the spirit claims me. In the end, I chose to offer myself to the spirit. I knew it was the only way to end the nightmare I had unleashed. Baba Leke helped me to prepare for the final ritual, and as I stood in the center of his shrine, clutching a knife, I could feel the spirit closing in. They were furious, their anger manifesting in a terrifying whirlwind of energy. I knew there is no going back. I plunged the knife into my chest, offering my life in exchange for the life I had taken. The pain was excruciating, but I remained standing, locked in a final desperate gaze with the spirit. Slowly, their fury began to subside, replaced by a cold acceptance. They faded away, leaving me alone in the silence of the shrine. But I didn't die that night. Baba Leke's dark magic kept me alive, though just barely. I woke up in a blur of pain and confusion, lying in a pool of my own blood on the cold, hard floor of the shrine. My breath was shallow, my body weak, but I was alive, a twisted testament to the power of the dark forces I had foolishly allied myself with. The police found me there the following morning, half dead and barely conscious. The shrine was a massacre scene, blood smeared across the floor, the remnants of dark rituals scattered around me. They didn't waste any time. I was rushed to the hospital, my life hanging by a thread. I remember the cold steel of the stretcher, the frantic voices of the paramedics, and the sterile brightness of the hospital light as they wheeled me into the emergency room. I slipped in and out of consciousness as they treated my wounds, stitching me up, the self-inflicted knife wound in my chest, and working tirelessly to stabilize my condition. I could hear fragments of conversations, the doctors whispering about the unusual symbols carved into my skin, the nurses speculating about what could have led me to such a state. They didn't know the half of it. Days passed into a haze of pain and medications. Slowly, I began to recover, my body mending even as my mind remained fractured. I had hoped for death, a final escape from the horrors I had unleashed, but it seems even that was too much to ask. I was kept under close watch, the police guiding my hospital room day and night. They knew there was more to my story, and they were determined to uncover the truth. Once I was stable enough to leave the hospital, they wasted no time in arresting me. There was no point in resisting. I was too weak, too broken, and too consumed by guilt to care. They handcuffed me right there in my hospital bed, the cold metal biting into my wrist, a stark reminder of the chains I had forged for myself through my greed and ambition. I was charged with multiple counts of conspiracy, aiding and abetting, and involvement in ritualistic practices that had led to the disappearances of innocent women. The evidence against me was overwhelming. My confession, the hair I had collected, the dark rituals I had participated in. There was no way out, no plea that could absolve me of the crimes I had committed. The trial was swift and brutal. I was paraded before the court, a shadow of the woman I once was. The judge listened to my story, his expression a mix of horror and disgust as I recounted the details of my path with Baba Leke, the rituals, and the lives lost as a result of my action. My confession sealed my fate, leaving no room for doubt or mercy. In the end, I was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of a parole. As the gavel came down, sealing my fate, I felt a strange sense of relief. The punishment was fitting, a reflection of the darkness I had allowed into my life. But the relief was fleeting, replaced by the cold reality of the prison cell that awaited me. A cell I had built with my own hands, brick by brick, through every sinful choice I have made. As I sit in this cell now, staring at the cold, unyielding wall, I realize that the true prison is not the one made of steel bar, but the one I created within myself. I destroyed lives in my quest for wealth and power, and in the end, I lost everything that mattered. I can only hope that my story serves as a warning to others. No amount of successes or riches is worth sacrificing your soul. Beware the path you choose, for some lead only to darkness, despair, and an inescapable prison of your own making. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, and press the notification bell for more captivating creepy stories. See you in the next stories. Bye for now.